Hello and welcome to Two Crones and a Microphone. I am Linda.
I am Betty.
I'm Sally.
And today we're delighted to have Christina here with us. We're going to do a little bit of an introduction. Christina Walker is a longtime friend and really accomplished individual. We're thrilled to have her here. Sally, I think you were going to lead off with a few things.
I know, because there are many, many things we could say about Christina. She has been a nurse administrator with 40 years of experience in working with collaborative teams, interdisciplinary, interdepartmentally, and systems throughout hospitals, clinics, and companies. She actually has a green belt in Six Sigma, allowing her expertise in project and change management with competency in a lot of fields that are related to nursing and healthcare. She has clinical knowledge from her work in the ER, her perioperative work. She's done a lot of work with workers' compensation, case management, infection control, primary care, alternative, and more recently, precision medicine and genetics. She does come with a master's degree in nursing education and a master's in spiritual psychology, along with her RN licensing. And I think some of the very exciting things that we're hoping Christina is going to talk about today is she is a frequent speaker on energy medicine with a focus on self-improvement, looking at incorporating forgiveness, meditation, and how we can work on our own self-improvement by looking at our belief patterns and how that impacts our health, how that impacts our ability to navigate and manage in the world. So that is really exciting. And how she came to all that information, of course, is a story unto itself.
And I have known Christina for about 35 years now. And we've been through quite a few adventures together. I have watched her through her many incarnations. You know, we were fairly young when we met. So I have to just say, and I think you'll come to this conclusion also, that she is one of the more courageous people I have known in my life. Chrissy has been through a lot, and I'm just going to let her let loose and tell you about herself, basically.
Well, thank you, everyone, for the kind introduction and the opportunity to speak about how I got where I am today. So when I was 19, I was in a car accident and had a near-death experience. And remember leaving my body, going before God, and him saying to me, or her, the voice said, "You can come with us now." And I said, no, I'm too young to die. I want to go back to earth. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to experience life. And he said, "Okay, yes, you can go back, but you're going to have a contract." And I said, "Okay, what's the contract?" And he said, "To bring heaven on earth." I said, "Okay." Two angels walked me back to my body. I looked at my body and said, "Oh, no, 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 no. Can't go back in that body. Too much pain in that body." And they said, "Well, all right, it's your choice. You go back in or you don't go back in." So after that, I kind of hovered around, not fully integrated in myself until I was about 35 years old. In those days, that was 1974. No one was talking about energy. No one was talking about spirituality. And so I felt very alone. My mom wouldn't send me to a psychiatrist, but I knew that wasn't the answer. So I went to the bookstore and I started looking up different traditions that worked with energy and spirits, and started guiding myself through the process. Then one day, someone who was a friend here in Honesdale said to me, there's a school that teaches forgiveness. And I said, oh, yes. I've had a lot happen from childhood till 35 years old. And that's when I met my husband, who was also into alternative medicine. So that started our journey together as a couple. We actually made a spiritual contract together to bring this work forward to the world. And so my journey started at University of Santa Monica, where they focused on forgiveness, self-forgiveness, forgiveness in Christ consciousness. I spent 4 years there, and I graduated when my teacher said to me, Christina, you now have the Christ consciousness. It was a lot to have to forgive myself and other people in my life, because my girlfriend died in the car accident, and my other girlfriend lost her eye and broke all the bones in her face, and broke her pelvis. And I was a lot of guilt, survivor guilt surrounding that. And we were all 19, and your brain is still forming, and it's not fully formed yet, and head injuries, and just a lot to have to deal with on my own. But knowing, it's funny because there was a part of me that kind of forgot a little bit of the contract, because when I came back, I literally experienced hell. I went through hell. And I know what hell is. And hell is definitely, we put it upon ourselves, where it's anger and guilt and self-loathing and all the negatives is really your own hell. So basically, I created my own hell. Did a lot of self-destruction, didn't want to live. It was just unbelievable. Started then slowly forgiving myself. Then after I finished, I graduated, I was be able to counsel people. And I was working with my husband in his practice, and I had a client who just totally I'm an empath. So really knocked me off my center. And I was crying, and I went to pick up the laundry at the cleaners. And all of a sudden, this woman comes up to me and she says, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. And on my way, I told God, listen, if you want me to do this work, you need to send me the person who can help me do this. I'm like, there's more to this. I don't know what it is, but I need someone to teach me. And this woman I said, well, what's your name? She goes, Hildegard. That's all you need to know. I walk into the cleaners and I say to them, have you ever seen that woman before? Nope, we've never seen, because we live in a small town. Kind of everybody knows everybody. And they said, no, never seen her before. And when I turned around, she was like gone in a flash. I was like, okay, God, thank you for the angel. I hear you. And then he sent me my other teacher, Christine Shank, who taught me energy medicine and the energy grid. And she then taught me how to bring my energy body back into my physical body, because they were separated. I got, when you have a trauma, you get knocked out. And either, you can come back in, or you can stay out, which is what I did. So over the years, I've come back in, and back into my body. So we're now together. Okay, now the next piece. So I said, okay, but my cortisol from being a nurse is off the charts. The stress in my life, I was like, okay, now I need help with this. And then I was introduced to Dr. Joe Dispenza, where he teaches meditation for the brain to decrease your cortisol. But what really now I've discovered with him is now I'm learning to love myself, I went through the forgiveness, then I went through understanding the energetics and bringing myself back. Now it's about loving myself. I energetically know that spiritually, everyone is connected to God. Everybody's loved by God. But then you have the physical world and the physical brain and the physical body where the beliefs come in, not the negative beliefs or the negativity in life come in, and there's kind of like the good, the spiritual, the loving God, and then the physical body saying, reality. And so now I'm working on bringing them totally together in a state of love. Whereas basically, I just want to feel divine love in every cell in my physical body. So that's been my journey. If you have any questions, we can go deeper into things. But that's where I am today.
What a marvelous journey, Betty. You're on mute.
I have a dog that's, as you know, Luna, who is barking every once in a while, so forgive me. I've watched Chrissy really go through all these changes, at times taking me with her. She's introduced me to some of these principles. I've introduced her to some of Oceana's work and our other teachers. We've been sharing information back and forth, which is really amazing.
Mhm.
And it's interesting to me how everything is connected. You know,
Yes.
Ocean used to say that all paths lead to the top of the mountain, and when we get there, we're all together, right? And I really believe that to be true because a lot of what Chrissy has told me that she has studied out in university, that when she studied with Christine. By the way, is Christine German? I meant to ask you that. Sorry I digress. But
Her school is in Germany.
yeah, Hildegard is German.
Mhm.
St. Hildegard of Bingen, which we've done a podcast on, by the way. So
Yes.
if you want to go back and look at that to our listeners.
Yes, and I'm
So,
German also.
right. So I am not surprised that she has become your guiding light, really. But at any rate, we've kind of like gone on this journey together over the past, 35 years or so. And it's really been exciting for me, really. The information we've shared has been extraordinary. And Chrissy's always given me a lot of really good advice. So I'm not surprised she's counseling some people because I know you're helping people also, Chrissy.
Mhm.
That's your path.
Yes.
Well, how do you integrate the energy work with the self-forgiveness and love piece? Because it sounds like there are three main sagas that the way you outlined it. And it just is so interesting. So if I come in and you start to counsel me, do we start with my story and what I want to get at, or how do you actually work with that?
So in the psychology school, they taught us to be the counselor, the patient, and the neutral observer.
Mm-hmm.
We call it a triad, we would all take those roles. So in the beginning, I just listened to where the client is. So I listened
Yes.
physically, and I listen energetically, and I listen emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just where the client is. You can't,
Sure.
people have to be willing to hear you and kind of, and that was the whole thing I used to say to myself, oh my God, I look in the mirror and say, oh my God, this is a big pill to swallow, to look at this part of me.
Mm.
It's to be really down, honest, and truthful with yourself. And I hope to be this neutral mirror for people where they can talk. And when you talk, you kind of hear yourself. Because I have clients say, oh my God, where did that come from? And if you just create the space for them to talk
Mhm.
and just let the mind and the feelings, just it's this beautiful tapestry unwinds. Exactly. And that's what it is. It's a tapestry because there's the spiritual self and that comes out. Then there's emotional that you have to look at. Then there's physical. And each time you're making the tapestry, one of them will come out and you go, okay, I need to focus on this for a while. Like for right now, I'm focusing on my physical body. And this is where I'm working on genetics. Now, genetics have your DNA. Your DNA is your blueprint. Okay, so how do you work with your blueprint to heal? And of course, DNA is energy. We're actually 99.9% energy as human beings in a physical body that is here to help you manifest in the physical world. So you still have to take care of I call it your partner, the one that
Mm, mm,
life. And so my client could have physical needs because so I work with them there. So
yes,
it's the whole person.
that's lovely. Thank you. Yeah. I think that that's an important point too, because it's so easy to get dissociated from our physical body or to think that there's something wrong or ill-advised about walking around in our beautiful physicality. And I love that you're bringing that back together. I think it's so important to honor that. Otherwise, how do we learn here?
Yes. We need our brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I,
So go ahead, Betty.
no, I was
You're
just going to say, I think the DNA piece is something that's relatively new that people are beginning to work on. So definitely, Christina, you're on the cutting edge of doing that. And it's an interesting concept for us as energy workers, trying to get things, okay, you have this gene, is the gene switched on? What's in your DNA? It's just really, it's a new level.
Yes. We said we'd do a podcast on that.
I was going to
At
say
some
it's
point.
exciting because that was what I was going to say. It opens it up for hoping that you'll come back and just really focus on that whole field of genetic and precision medicine because that's huge when you're working with people. And it's
Mhm.
huge for us to understand that too about ourselves and our physical makeup. And it's exciting because every day we're discovering more that lends us, right? Some people have dabbled with, right, 23andMe or any of the genetic things that start to link us to genetics. It's so much more than that, as you know,
Mhm.
so much more than that. But that's where a lot of people start when they're interested in finding out about their genealogy. And, you run all these genetic tests and find out you have people in parts of the world that you had no idea were related to you. So that can be the kind of fun part, but then there's the really serious medical, emotional, physical part that I know that you're really focusing on now. And I do hope you'll come back and talk to us about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's great that you're a nurse. I mean, you have a perspective, bringing that nursing piece in. Nurses are really amazing. And I can say because I'm one, but I just think it's amazing to bring it all together in this package. And amazing that you've gotten here at this point, and definitely a benefit to me and those of us who know you. You've been a huge, huge help.
I have to give gratitude to God and Jesus for that because they're the ones that keep bringing me my next steps.
Mm-hmm.
I say, all right, I'm ready to work on this. And then the person appears. And yeah, so I'm hoping that once I am done with everything, that the physical, the DNA part, that because I am starting a private practice, that God will then bring the people forward who are ready to go to work. I call it go to work.
Mhm.
Aw.
On learning to love yourself, forgive yourself, heal yourself, gratitude, joy, create the life you want. I mean,
Mhm.
that's where beliefs come in. You know, if you keep having this annoying belief about yourself, it's kind of hard to create what you're looking at. So we kind of go in and we start dissecting different beliefs that you have in your brain, and how do we um so you have a belief, okay, I'm not good enough. Okay, that was mine for a long time.
Mm.
That's really a lot of people's.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, um and that belief came from childhood. So if I'm trying to create a life of healing myself and helping other people, I'm not enough is going to kind of get in the way, which it did until I had a meditation at Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe does meditations around the country if anybody's interested in that. And we were doing a meditation, and Jesus came to me and spoke to me and said, because I said it was me about not being enough. And he said, well, do you know that I was with you when you had your car accident? And I held you in my arms. And I know that because I had the fireman hold me in his arms and he was praying, because I did have 20, I had 24 hours to live. And
Mm.
and actually God brought me back to that fireman so I could, at a party, so I could thank him.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
that was
Wow.
that was amazing. And then I ended up working in the ER with the nurses who saved my life that night. They
Wow.
remember me. And so it's I guess I gotta say the most thing is when you feel things very deeply in your heart, God hears you. You know, the mind is one thing, but I think, and this is for the world, if everybody could just really, really feel, go in and feel, we would have less war and less anger and less, we'd be in a state, we would have create a world of peace, because really it starts in the heart.
Mm. Mm.
And opening your heart
Oh.
takes courage, which just brings back to
Mm.
me to the whole reason for the call. You have to really be very courageous to open your heart. And so here I am in this meditation, and Jesus says, I was with you. I held you in my arms, and I've been with you. And your name is Christina Walker. I gave you that name because you are you walk with Christ.
Wow.
Yeah. And I went, okay, got the message. I'm ready to flip it around in my brain. Got it.
Wow. What
Okay.
a great
You and
story.
I are definitely all right. I can fulfill my contract now, because that was the contract.
Yes.
Peace on earth. And I had a reading with someone, and she says, what you do is you create the space of peace for people. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm on my way, you know. Now I just have to heal myself. So I have the energy to do this, because you need energy
Mhm.
when you're in this
Mhm.
world. You will know, you will do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you don't want to burn out. So the physical body needs
That's right.
support. It has to be a willing partner now, because I got all the other signs and I'm ready.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What a wonderful story. Thank you for tying that together with your name. How
Yeah,
profound is
that was
that? Oh,
That's pretty amazing. I think that you brought up some really, really awesome points. We could spin off on any of them and have incredible discussions. You said something from the very beginning about first you had to engage in self-forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is, I think, a challenge for a lot of people, is forgiving ourselves for whatever, fill in the blank. On a daily basis, we could probably fill in the blank. And maybe if you're willing for our wisdom practice, if you would be willing to just, it's hard to distill it down to a few points. And certainly we can write more and expand on that for people. But are you willing to just give a few tips about where does anyone even start? Because when we're angry at ourselves and we're holding a lot of guilt and we're holding a lot of shame, and it's hard to think about forgiving ourselves for most people, not everybody, but for most people. Where does anybody even start to unravel, if you want to put it this way, to unravel that ball of yarn that's so tangled? Where do you even start with the whole notion of how do you walk down that path of self-forgiveness? We're not even talking about forgiveness of others. That's a whole nother thing to walk down. But for ourselves, where do we start with that?
You go deep, deep, deep into your heart. You start there. You feel it. You have to energy, emotions are energy emotion. So you need to get the emotion. Start with the emotion. I feel this. I have spent many a night in the bathroom just crying about it. And I knew God will hear you. God will hear you. You just, it's, it's an experiential. It's not in the mind. You have to really feel it in your bones and in your heart that you forgive yourself for what you're either feeling guilty of or shameful of. Um, loss. Loss is a big one too. And a lot of journaling, writing it down. Just, you have to get it out of your cells. Basically, what happens is all the trauma and everything, it gets locked in your cells, and you need a way to purge it out. And the way that I found is through feeling it and through the motions. There's a saying, to heal it, you got to go through it, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm. So agree. And, and it fits very much with the ceremony that we do through Minerva, where Oceana taught us to create a sacred fire. And there is journaling involved in that also. And then releasing the things we need to release. And of course, the tears in the process are the same. And then symbolically to burn it in the fire and let the fire transmute it is exactly what we're talking about. That's why I love the parallels between, what we have learned in working with Ocean and other teachers, and what you have learned in the teachers that you've worked with in your own process. It is paths to the top of the mountain. Slightly different, but right next to each other.
Oh, you bet. Yeah. And we had a similar experience. Each of us met Oceana at a different point in our lives, but she was out there teaching a lot of different sort of esoteric thoughts, bringing them into reality and grounding them in practices that people could do on an everyday basis. And so it wasn't just in our heads spinning. It did open our hearts and helped us become who we need to be in the world in order to be the person we need to be and want to be.
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's unbelievable, but we are just about at a time to wrap up our podcast. Christina, it's been such a delight having you here. I look forward to another podcast where we can break out all the DNA info and how that can help. Because that's going to be really important. And so thank you for taking the time to come on and to chat with us and share your story. How remarkable. Really glad you're here.
Agree.
So for now, I'm just going to close by saying go find your glimmer, those micro moments in which everything becomes clear, centered, and grounded.
Thank you so much, the three of you, for having me on to help us spread the word of love, peace, and gratitude.
Lovely.
That's awesome. And of course, remember, we're helping you navigate the muddy waters of our time. And I think that Christina just gave us a nice big paddle to get our boat through all of this. So
There we go.
I love that. And always, obviously, healing comes through love.
yes.
Whatever you want to, whether it's, however we want to define that. But remember, you always are surrounded in beauty.
Yes.
And the love that goes along with seeing beauty in all living things and knowing that we're surrounded by that beauty. So thank you for joining us in Kaddish Day. All is made beautiful.
Hi, if you're enjoying Two Crones and a Microphone, please like this video and hit the subscribe button. Enjoy timeless wisdom from modern times, all served up by women in the know.